Welcome back to the Football Exponential Show. I'm Chika and I'm joined by Frank.
Hi, welcome back to the show.
Okay, Frank, how is your morning going? I hope no much
Yeah, it's
stress.
going. No, it's going okay. I think summertime is coming to an end. It's been raining all
Yeah,
day, so I think,
yeah.
but it's okay. It's okay. I can't complain.
I, can't, I don't want winter. I don't want winter. I'm not a winter person. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, let's
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go. Let's dive in.
Today's session will be just a hot take. We'll go quickly on predictions. With the Premier League about to start, with the Premier League about to start today, with Man United playing Fulham kicking off, we just decided to do some quick predictions. So, Frank, I'll go with you. Who do you think champions this season?
Champions. I think. I think it's. I'll go with the. I'll go with the Manchester Juggernaut, Man City.
Okay, why do you think so?
Um. Honestly, I think it's. I think. I think. In my opinion, three reasons. Firstly, Guardiola, Kevin De Bruyne, and the striker Erling Haaland. I think those three aspects of quality and coaching that we have in that team, I think it supersedes what everyone else can provide in the Premier League in terms of the coaching, the goal scoring, and the playmaking.
Okay, I'll go with City also as my
Yeah.
champions, and I'll go with City mainly not because of City. Yeah, yeah, one of the reasons is because they have Haaland, they have Pep. That's the two main guys. But the third reason, or my number one reason, is because I don't see anybody. I don't believe in Arteta to win. That's just what I think. I keep saying it, but I need to see it happen. I'm not saying he can, but I need to see it happen. So if it was someone else coaching Arsenal, I would have taken them like a club, like someone else. But with Arteta, I
So
don't
so
believe
your
they
problem
will.
so your problem is just Arteta.
Because Liverpool, I trusted them, but with not having a six, with the new person, but I still believe they'll finish in top four. But I don't see anyone behind City. So that's why I say City will win it again. If it
Okay.
was Klopp, well, I would have taken Klopp. So let's go to the second one. Who do you think will finish second, third, and fourth in the top
So
four?
second, third, or fourth, I have it written down, and I think I've done a bit of cheating here in terms of my Chelsea bias. So I've
Uh,
gone Arsenal to finish second, Liverpool to finish third, and Manchester United to finish fourth.
why do you think so? Why did you think that?
I think between these teams, I think they have I think right now Arsenal have enough
Yeah,
quality to
right now
they
we all
they
know.
they might not quite win it, but I think they have enough quality to comfortably finish second above the rest. Liverpool, there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, the new coach, lack of activity in the window so far, but I think they still have enough firepower and likes of Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold can still always push the club further. I think, and Manchester United, I think this is, but let's not forget, in the Eric Ten Hag's first season, they actually did finish in the top four. So I think they're going to go back to form, and with the reshaping in the coaching department, I think that's going to help, and the reshaping in the club directors side of it, that would help as well in terms of bringing stability to the club and one direction that United have not had in a long time. I think it's going to be more. I think things should be quiet on that front this time in terms of the off the pitch noise, and they have also strengthened the team significantly this season in terms of signings they've made. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of depth to that team in terms of wide players, attacking options. But I still believe they need one or two central midfielders. Well, I'm liking what I've seen from Casemiro in preseason. He looks a lot leaner. He looks a lot fitter. I think if he's managed properly, he can have a better season than he did last season. But saying that, I think it would be quite impossible to have a worse season than what he had last year because it was quite. He went through a long patch of bad form. I think Ten Hag will find. I think between Ten Hag, Bruno Fernandes, likes of the Leeds, Lautaro Martinez, Onana probably more settled to the league and settled to the team. They'll find Rashford picks up.
Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah, exactly. And Rashford picks up his form, Garnacho, Aman. So there's a lot of attacking options there, and I think they'll do quite well.
I'll go with my answer's simple. I'll go with Arsenal. Everybody knows Arsenal. Like
Yeah.
Arsenal, Liverpool. I believe so much in the Liverpool coach. My only problem is the number six they don't have. Liverpool and then Chelsea. I go with Chelsea, and I'll tell
Okay.
you why. I criticize Chelsea a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
At the
of course.
same time, I criticize them, but why I go with Chelsea is that this is my reason. Naturally, I would have gone with Spurs. To me, I would have gone with Tottenham to finish top four. But the
Yeah.
reason I didn't is that they'll play Europa League, right? And it's going to distract them, right? So that's why I kick them out, except they exit early. Also, Villa to me is better this season than they were last season. But also, Villa will play Champions League, and there's a problem for them. The reason
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Chelsea is Chelsea is playing the Conference League, which is so beneath the quality they have. So now I
Yeah,
feel they
that's
can
true.
experiment and they have the squad to more
So
than
yeah,
any sports don't have the squad. So and also, in as much as I criticize Chelsea, the starting 11, if any coach knows what he's doing, the only problem those boys have is experience. So I don't know if he knows what he's doing, he can finish in top four. I just feel people have so much discounted or looked down on Chelsea that is looking like understand what
no,
I'm trying to
it's
say.
I know, yeah, I understand.
They,
I
they,
think it's also important to have because I think most of the discussions about Chelsea in the media space has lacked a lot of balance and a lot of nuance in terms of the discussion because ultimately this is the team that it's 2 years into this new ownership. And of course, any club the size of Chelsea that's going through a reshape in terms of ownership structure and the massive turnover of players is going to take a long time to get these things right.
yeah,
And I think so far, what I think there's been a lot of good signings, a lot of bad, a lot of signings that need to improve. But I think the one decision they haven't quite got right is the coach. And I think if Maresca comes in and he shows, even if it's a little bit, because I believe last season Pochettino was sleeping at the wheel in terms of the actual coaching of the team. I think if Maresca can improve the structural issues the team had last season, that led them to conceding most goals they've ever conceded in the Premier League. If Maresca can improve on that, even if it's by 20%, and he can improve some other attacking players, likes of Sterling, Mudryk, Noni Madueke, and Cole Palmer keeps his form. Jackson improves a little bit. Likes of Lavia and Kuku stay fit. I think Chelsea have enough. I think they have enough weapons, and with the rumored transfer of Victor Osimhen or Joao Felix coming in, I think there's a lot of weapons for Chelsea to get it right. And I think so. Yeah, that's my thing.
yes. Okay, fifth and sixth. Who are your
So
predictions,
fifth and
Rich?
sixth, respectively, Chelsea fifth and
Yeah,
Tottenham sixth. Well, I've done this whole calculation in my head where I believe English clubs, or I hope English clubs do well in Europe this season. So in
yeah,
terms of the coefficient, so the Premier League gets
yeah.
five Champions League teams next season. So that counts with Chelsea as well. So like I spoke earlier about the reasons why I feel
That's
Chelsea
it.
will have a good season. I think they have a lot of things going right. There's my big issue with them is more there's no obvious defensive partnership forming yet. But I believe that's going to take time.
Definitely.
I think in the first few months of the season, there's going to be a lot of trying to see where you can get that chemistry going in terms of defensive partnership. But I think the sooner we sort that out and we sort out the goalkeeping, because I believe he's going to start with Sanchez, and I believe ultimately Sanchez will be dropped because I don't think he's just good enough. So I think once
Hmm.
those two components fit into the team, I believe they can go on to have a good season. And Tottenham, they started last season fantastically, considering they had lost Hurricane, and they sort of hit a little dry spell when they had injuries, suspensions, especially after that infamous Chelsea game with the two red cards to Tottenham and the injuries they picked up that day. I think that's where they sort of lost momentum that day. Star players lost form due to injuries, and when they came back, they didn't hit it running again like Madison. And I think what they've done now this season with their transfer business is they've added a bit more youth to the team, which has obviously brought a lot of depth to the squad. They just signed a new winger from Bonny this afternoon. I believe that's going to be more options in
And
the
I
right
remember,
areas.
remember the first day I won that guy. I told you I like him. If you remember
Yeah,
very, very well.
it's a very yeah.
But I don't know if he's going to be consistent.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll see. And I think they also have I think now next one of our next phases. I think we'll talk about him. I think Solanke is another excellent addition to the team. That's what I feel. I think Tottenham will do a lot better this season.
I feel Tottenham, as I said, I trust the coach. I even feel they can make top four. But the addition of Solanke, United will finish fifth. And I would have taken United ahead of every other person to finish fourth. The reason why I didn't is I trust Ten Hag, but the problem I'm having with United fans is that the pressure is on Ten Hag to play certain way, not results. So he has to play attractive football at the same time. If they just allow him to play his reactive kind of football, where they are transition team, where they catch you quickly on the counter, I think they'll finish top four. But he wants to play certain ways. So that's why I think the pressure will get to him, and we have to change the side, and then they'll finish fifth. Then relegation for you. Who do you tip to go down?
Relegation, I think it's as ever. It's going to be a very hard fought battle with a lot of teams. I see a situation where you have teams like three of the newly promoted teams will be in around those spaces. The last five in the league. What's made I think Southampton might go down because I think they just
Yeah.
because I followed them a lot last season in the championship and they had a very rocky start, but also had towards after I think towards after the first about 4 or 5 games this season they went on a massive win streak where they won about I think was it 20 something games in a row straight 20 something games undefeated in the championship, and that's an impressive record especially in the English championship. But I think ultimately they're going to come to the Premier League with this style of play, and I think it's ultimately going to come down to the coach. If he goes down the Vincent Company routes of last is where he's trying to play his unique style of
So,
football in the Premier League, if he's asking players to do things they're not quite comfortable with in against top oppositions, conceding a lot of goals, not quite scoring enough. So I think Southampton might be one of the three to go down. And also Nottingham Forest. I don't think they've done good business this year. I think they still have a lot of issues. They have a lot of issues, especially with getting the right number one goalkeeper. I think they've signed in the last 2 windows. They signed at least four goal. They've tried their hands with at least four goalkeepers to find the right fit for them. And I think when you're one of those teams fighting for those relegation places, you have to counter your goalkeeper to stand up and be your first line of defense or your last line of defense. And I think that's one advantage Everton have. Everton have one of the best goalkeepers around in the Premier League in Jordan Pickford. So I think Nottingham Forest I think they will be in around there. And the last one, surprisingly, I think Leicester City. I think Leicester City
stop.
they might go straight back again. And I think also with the rumored points deduction that's looming over their head this season, I think that also affects their points total.
Okay, and how many points are they deducting from them?
It's not quite clear, but there's a looming investigation and subsequent
Yeah.
point
I
deduction.
get. I'll go with Ipswich number one.
Yeah,
Not
Ipswich.
convinced. They just came up, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
Not really. That's what I think. McKenna is good, but I don't see them saying that. Ipswich Southampton also for the same reason. There's a young team. They just came up. They want to play a certain way. That style of football, especially with Southampton, is difficult in Premier League. Norwich tried it with Daniel Farke and it didn't work out. And then the last was surprise with Bournemouth. I
Bournemouth,
picked. Yeah, yeah. I picked Bournemouth.
Bournemouth,
Yeah,
really?
I like the coach. I like the style. But if you notice, towards the end of last season, they started struggling. And one of the reasons I picked them is they will lose Solanke. If you take out Solanke's goals, that's the gap. Who's
But they
replacing
signed,
Solanke?
but
But I
they
don't know the
signed.
guy. I don't know the
Yes,
guy. I don't know if he's
I
going
know,
to be
I
cornerstone
think
of the team.
he
I don't know the guy.
had a good
So
season in Champions League last
if he
year. So
doesn't click, so many people haven't clicked. If he doesn't click, that's one. Then two, they lost one Kelly guy. I think he
Lloyd
was
Kelly,
vital for them.
Lloyd
Yeah,
Kelly,
so uh, they
but
signed
they
one guy from Barcelona, Arugo or something like that.
yeah, they
They're
signed
signing a
and
goalkeeper or something like that. But I'm just telling you, like, that's why I
Bournemouth,
just picked them. Yeah, because of Solanke, if they don't replace him. Now, who are the
Okay.
teams that I expected to go down? They'll be close to going down. Forest, Northern Forest. I'm not tipping Forest to go down because the coach, if there's any coach I believe in relegation, is the Portuguese guy, their Portuguese coach. That's one. And
That's a good point.
they have lots of players that they can pick and change and do whatever they want to change, unlike the other people. Players that are experienced, they might not be Premier League experienced, but they're experienced. So I don't expect
Yeah,
them to
got
go down.
Morgan Gibbs White,
Yeah, all those,
Anwi,
yeah.
Callum Hudson-Odoi, the likes
So they
there.
can stay
I
up.
agree. I agree. Yeah.
Leicester, I'm not thinking they will go down. This is why, because Leicester, to me, if you check their players, they're amongst the people that came up. They have the most experienced players ready to play the Premier League. They might be old, but I just think they're experienced. And then their coach, I don't think he's the right off. I think he's good enough for the Premier League. Steve
Yeah, I
Cooper.
respect it. Yeah, I
That's
respect
why
it enough.
Wolves, I would have tipped Wolves as number one, but I saw what the other Gary O'Neill did last season. Will he do it again? I don't know, but I think because of what I saw, I tip him to keep them up also. That's the worst team this season I'm disappointed in is Crystal Palace. I start
Crystal,
asking myself,
wait,
yeah,
Crystal Palace. Wait.
yeah.
So,
I'm not saying they will go down. Hold on. This is why I'm disappointed. I said I'm disappointed in them, and this is why. Every other team is spending money. Do you not find it insulting for the likes of Guehi to be linked with Newcastle? Crystal Palace is all about sale.
no,
Everybody's buying.
I think
Everybody,
no,
You lost to Lise. You have Metete, which before they got Metete, they tried several things before it worked. They tried the guy from Edouard from France. They tried so many strikers. Even Metete didn't start. They have Ozaha. They lose
yeah, but
players,
yeah,
but they don't replace them.
I know,
Yeah,
that's in the past, and I think
do
we
you
have
know
to
I
look
was
at
disappointed? They linked Anderson to Fulham. Why should
yeah, I
Anderson
saw it.
be? It's a disappointment. Why should Anderson be
But
linked
it's
to
not gone yet
Fulham?
though. But
I
it's
know,
not gone
but
yet. They still have
for him to
no,
be the news, that means they lack ambition. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Palace,
no.
maybe I'm
I
wrong.
think
The coach is
we'll
good.
see,
I like what they
we'll
did
see,
last season. Can they do it again this season? Let's go to top scorer. Who's your top scorer?
top. I think top goal scorer. I think the obvious one is going to be Erling Haaland, but I think I'm going to go a bit slightly off that, and I think I'm going to go with Watkins and Solanke as top
I'll
goal
go
scorers
with
in the league this season.
Haaland and Salah. Salah looks
Yeah,
so fresh this
yeah.
season. I get all is good. Okay, who's your impact signing?
My impact signing again is a player we've talked about, and I just spoke about. I think Solanke at Tottenham.
Even me, it's my impact signing
I,
because
th-
if I look at
I think that's one signing
my
that
impact signing,
I think you can see the positives. You can see the positives instantly. What it's going to
yeah,
bring to that team, a team that creates
they
a lot
create
of
chances,
chances.
yeah, and they
So
don't finish
I
it
think
up.
it's been one of the signings of the season as well.
Yeah, that's my impact signing. Who's your one to watch for you?
So one to watch. I've gone with two teams.
Okay.
Not necessarily players. And this is why I disagree with you on Crystal Palace, because Crystal Palace are one of my teams to watch out for this season. Because
You
I
lose
think they
Olise,
have,
you lose Anderson, three key players. How do
yeah,
you
I
lose
know,
them?
yeah, but
I don't see how.
I know, but the window is still, I think the window is still a bit, the window is still a bit early. And I think you have to look at the trust they have in the manager. And they've recruited some players. I think Daichi Kamada from last year, a player the coach is quite familiar with. They still have Iberichi Eze. They still have Jean-Philippe Mateta. They have one of the players that I'll talk about him soon. Adam Watson in midfield. You have Dokore come back from injury. The Magari situation, we don't quite know how it's going to unfold, but even now they still have a lot of options in terms of centre back positions. There's a centre back descent from Brazil from Barcelona.
You know what the guy did? The way the guy changed their fortunes when he came in. It's difficult
No,
to do that.
I know it's difficult, but I
That is
think,
the way he changed
but
them. They became like totally different team, and they got
that's what good
lots of
coaching.
points.
I know, but that's
I
what good
know.
coaching does to players. It
It's,
improves, it elevates the mood around the club, changes. Everyone is more positive, and I think Ipswich Town. I think they're gonna have a good season this year. I think them to stay up and stay up quite comfortably in the Premier League.
Okay, my I don't know much about Ipswich. Okay, my one to watch is a player, Pedro Neto.
Pedro Neto.
Yeah,
Oof,
Pedro Neto, and
yeah.
I know I'm going. I know I'm going with him because I believe if he stays fit and
Hmm.
if Maresca is what they say he is, I know it's a big if. I believe he can have the kind of season Palmer had last season. Not in terms of goal
Okay,
scoring.
okay.
I'm talking of influence,
But
not
in
goal
terms of
scoring. Not
influence,
assist,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
he
get you, I get you,
very,
I
very
get you.
influential because he will be the go-to guy against teams that try to sit deep and play defensive against
Stretching
Chelsea.
the, yeah, yeah,
Running
yeah.
at them, stretching at them. So that's my one to watch this season. Uh, that's just the one person. Which young player do you think will have a good season?
Young player. I think this is one I thought hard and long about, and I think it's important for us to reshape it because in the Premier League we still have the likes of Saka still
Yeah,
being
most
eligible.
of them are still
So I
young. Yeah,
don't.
I'm saying
So exactly.
someone who's not in the limelight because Palmer
So
is
I
still
think
a young.
I think a player that's under 21, then I think that's quite still new to the Premier League, and I think it's Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton. I think
Hold
it's going
on.
to be one of the players of the season this year, and I think there's going to be a massive bidding war for him in the future, and I believe he will be the next hundred million pound player or £100 million midfielder in the Premier League. Adam
You
Wharton.
believe in him that much?
I have no doubt. I I I
From
believe,
Blackburn.
yeah, from Blackburn Rovers to Crystal Palace. And I believe if it all goes well for him in terms of fitness and form and whatnot, I believe he'll be one of the starters for England in the next World Cup.
Okay.
Not
Mine is
not just going, but starting for the English national team.
I'll keep
In fact this season
I'll
as well.
I'm clipping this up. I'll keep it for you.
Flip it, Adam Watson, next £100 million player, and he will start for England in the next World Cup. Clip it if you want, if that's
My
what you
young
want.
player my young player to watch is Kwanzaa, the one from Liverpool, because ever since I saw the boy from the one, I've been so impressed. He has the physique, he has the height, he's slim, he's like I think he's ahead of the curve, and I believe if he continues to improve the way I saw him last season, it's not easy stepping into or playing with the likes of Van Dijk, Konate, and all those guys. So I think he will have more regular game time this season.
Yeah.
And when I found out, oh, yes, Van Dijk hasn't signed an extension yet, or they haven't given him one. He's 33 years old, so I'm thinking, are they thinking we can use Kwanzaa? But let's see. But he's my young player, the young player to watch. So who do you think needs to improve this season? Which player?
Okay, needs to improve. I have two players in mind, but it's for different reasons. And I think one is Mason Mount, because
Mhm.
let's not forget this is an England international that was started for the English national team at the World Cup and the home Euros in England, or effectively the home Euros a few years ago. He was one of Chelsea's best players for a long time in the Champions League winning team, and he's a player that Chelsea fans adored and loved. But then he ultimately moves to Manchester United last season for over £60 million, and then I understand injuries came in and he missed a lot of games. But I think now this is your second season. The team, in my opinion, will be a lot better this year. And I think it's time for him to have an impact on the team or show how influential he can be on the team. Because ultimately, if he can't crack it this year, I think it's curtains. Because with the likes of Bruno Fernandes' new contract,
He was linked
they've
with
doubled
Villa.
down.
He was linked
What?
with Villa. He was linked with Villa at the point.
I think
He might be move up,
I
but that tells me that they are
personally,
disappointed that they
personally,
are not
personally,
satisfied.
I think that's his level. I think that's when like the likes of Villas, Newcastle's, that's his level. But he's at United
No,
now. I expect to see more
not at
from
my
him.
first. Not if you are following us and you like what we are doing, you can please click the like button and then subscribe. To me, not my second. You know, Villa is my second Premier League. No, not Villa. But he can
No,
go down
Villa,
to
I don't think
yeah.
so. And I think the other player I have is Enzo Fernandez.
Oh,
I think this is, and it's not necessarily saying he's a bad player or saying whatnot, because ultimately this is a player that's been quite successful in international football. He's won the World Cup, at a young age. He's coming off a summer with Argentina winning the Copa America again. I think he's going to be one of Chelsea's captains this year, and we all know what his transgressions off the pitch in terms of what happened after Argentina won the Copa America. So I think this is the season where he has to stamp his authority on Chelsea's team. I need to see him have the sort of influence that likes of Jorginho, Kante, even Mikel Obi, SC, and those kind of midfielders in the past have had on Chelsea's team. He needs to be, and I believe he's going to have a good season. I think he needs to show everyone, not because he will never just in some people's minds, he will never be a hundred million pound player. But I think in terms of his not necessarily goals, but in terms of his overall influence on that team, in terms of leadership, control, creating, and just having an impact on the ball, I think this is the season he needs to show more.
I'll go with Smart. He needs to improve his portrait
Modric,
to me. Because this is
well,
if he doesn't get it this season, why I think Enzo's style of play, provided Chelsea's winning, you can criticize it's not worth 100 million, but if Chelsea's winning and he's just playing some most of the games, he will be all right. It can take time to figure it out. But Modric, to me, it's easier to freeze Modric out of the team than freeze Fernandez out. That's why I said he needs to improve because
true.
Fernandez can give you 50 minutes this game. Next game he comes from the bench. He can always point. But Modric, to me, if he doesn't ball this season, they'll ship him out to somewhere else. Then what's your hot take? That's the last one before we wrap it up. What's
So
your hot
my
take?
hot take this season, and I know it's go, I think it's going to contradict one of my earlier predictions, and it's United. I think Ten Hag is going to get sacked this season,
Yeah.
and I think ultimately he's going to be replaced by none other than Wood Van Nistelrooy as head coach of Manchester
Yeah,
United.
I see
So I
that.
think
The moment they appointed Van Nistelrooy beside him,
I
I
I think
felt fine.
and I think it might not be a situation. It might not happen. I think it might not happen during the season. It might happen at the end of the season. But I think ultimately there will be a bit of the
Whenever you start hearing reports, the players like Van Nistelrooy, that's how we start.
exact.
The
That's
players like
exactly.
the
I've seen
club think
this.
highly of him. That's when
I
just
think,
you just
and
get
I,
the
and I,
that.
and I think either Van Nistelrooy knows that's his. I think he's whether he's been briefed on it.
I think this season is the most powerful number two in the Premier League. You could see his
No, you can
aura.
see because even
But
even during the competition, like I think there were more cameras on Van Nistelrooy than Eric Ten Hag in terms of shots the cameraman put on TV
and I
screens.
think
But I think
they imposed him on Ten Hag. That's what
I'm not
I think.
I'm not quite sure.
Before he signed the second, there's no how you can pick Van Nistelrooy as your assistant.
I'm
If you think so well, because you know he might take your role, he might take your job. There's some appointments you just know this might not be not because he wants your job, no. But the club, you understand, it's like a
Yeah,
lady
understand,
getting her
understand,
friend
understand,
to
understand, understand. But as
man
I think
when
I
she
think it's another I think it's
I won't
another it's another AVB Andres Villas Boas Di Matteo situation where you come in, the coach comes in, he's still new, he's still finding his way. Then you bring along with you bring one of Chelsea's loved idols, Robbie Di
yeah, yeah.
Matteo, as your assistant. Then a bit of turbulence, bad results, you get sacked. Then Di Matteo ultimately becomes the number one. And it seems like that's sort of swift transition in terms of
Mhm.
coaching, and ultimately with the lack of credible options for the job, because they were linked to the likes of Roberto De Zerbi, what's the coach I expect, Kerry McKenna, Pochettino. I think it's not a good pull. I think with United, because they've done this in the past with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and other club favorites. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy will be the United manager coming of this season.
My hot take is for Chelsea fans. While you're watching Chelsea game or Chelsea games, put your eye on what is happening in Southampton over there in Southampton. Watch Southampton games because with
Why?
what I read on the Athletic about Russell Martin, what I read about Russell
Yeah,
Martin,
Chelsea,
what I
Chelsea.
read about that is the link. That is telling me that if Maresca doesn't do well this season, and Russell Martin plays the right way for Southampton, the Chelsea owners will yank Maresca out. That's what
No,
I
but
feel.
I
The
know,
way I read, because this clause fit
sorry
this
to,
season,
I sorry to,
the way I read
sorry
it, I was
to.
like, yeah.
This is coming from nowhere. This is
The way
not.
when he plays certain, because he's young, he's a very young coach, and he's a manager's coach, and the players love him. I knew him as a defender. He was a defender
It
for
was a,
years
I think it
for
was a defender
yeah,
in
he
Norwich. In
kept
Norwich, yeah.
coming up, and I didn't know he was in Southampton. But the way they are marinating him, they're letting Leslie Ugochukwu go to Southampton. Southampton is not the only club that came for Ugochukwu, but they're letting Leslie go. If it's possible, they can give another one. The way they are painting him, I'm sure not just Chelsea, many guys' eyes will be there. Frank,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, what
yeah. I
do you
see.
want to say?
Yeah, no, I see your point because also I think clubs always have I think always clubs
Consider.
have they have their contingency plans, have their eyes on
No,
several
but I
managers
don't
they
think,
look
don't
at.
get me wrong. I exaggerated. I don't think they will sack Maresca, but I'm just saying
No,
that
but I
Ross.
know, but also, but I think in terms of wherever Chelsea finishes, I think it's important for Chelsea, the fan base, the players, the ownership, the whole cluster of divisions. I think what Chelsea need most is a bit of consistency. And I think, in my opinion, regardless of how, unless it's the sea levels we saw with Potter, where you go months without a win, you go weeks without even scoring a goal. Unless it gets to a situation like that, I think Maresca should sit this job for now and come back next season as Chelsea manager.
I
And
believe he would do well. I believe he would do well.
and I and I think and I know a lot of people don't really when Pep starts talking or waiting or starts speaking highly about managers or how he loves the way they play. I think it's interesting. Like Guardiola said, like to him, it's a matter of time. If Chelsea and the ownership give him time, he'll do well. But can they give him time? That's another question. So I think it's interesting to see how that goes about.
Okay, for our listener, join us again for analysis of the first game of the week about Friday and Saturday night. Frank, do you have anything for our viewers?
No, it's just thank you for thank you for the growing love and appreciation. And if you have any questions or any topics you'd like us to discuss, leave it down in the comments and
And
hit the like button as well.
and then remember, I clipped some of this, so I have to play it towards the end of the season.
We'll see. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Ah.